Did you know that not all soil is the same? In fact, different plants require different compositions of soil in order to thrive. Today at Gould Lake Outdoor Centre, we're going to find out more with our soil samples experiment. For this activity, you'll need a bottle of water, some tape for labeling, 3 jars or see-through containers like Tupperware. You'll need a pen, a spoon or shovel for digging dirt, and a ruler for measuring later on.
You'll be collecting a total of 3 samples. For each of your samples, you're just looking for plain soil. The difference is that it'll be in different areas. So for this area, we found a nice treed area just outside the office, and we're going to fill our jar with about 3 or 4 scoops of dirt. Now it's important that as you're scooping, you don't intentionally pick up big chunks of plants or rocks. After we're done scooping, we're just going to be sure to label our jar as we go so that we don't get it mixed up with the other samples. Now, as we said, the difference in your soil samples will come from the fact that they're in different areas. So our first sample was just outside the office in some trees. That means we're going to walk across to a front garden for our second sample. Now you don't have to go far. The soil on the right side of your house will be different from the soil on your left side of your house, even if it's only a subtle difference. So you don't have to go far, but do make sure that you're scooping in some different areas. So this here is the front garden sample. And again, we're just going to scoop 3 or 4 scoops of dirt in it, and then we'll label it so that we don't get it mixed up with the other samples. For soil sample number 3, we ended up in a rockier area by the parking lot. As I said before, we're not looking to intentionally scoop big piles of rocks or vegetation into our samples. The magic of the experiment is that after we shake it up and it settles, we'll see the different composition of the soil.
So even in this rocky area, we did our best to just scoop soil, and we'll see the different results later on when we mix up our samples.
Now we're going to add our water to the jar. Just fill it almost to the brim, leave maybe about an inch for airspace so that we can shake it up. Make sure your lids are screwed on tight and then give it a good hard shake. Your goal here is to break up any clumps of dirt, and that'll really help separate out the sand from the silt from the clay. So give them a good hard shake, and then you're going to leave them still without touching them for at least 24 hours to let everything settle. So here we have our settled samples. These are the 3 samples that we took, and they've been sitting for well over 24 hours now. You can really see the different layers. There's some vegetation that's floating on top, some that's waterlogged and sunken down. So this is roots and bits of dead leaves and other organic matter like that. And then we have the actual layers of the soil itself. So here we're looking at clay, silt, and sand. Now sand is the largest particles. It's worn down rocks and very gritty, so it'll have settled to the bottom of your jar. That next layer up is silt. It's the next size and particle. It's broken down a little bit more than sand.
And last you have clay. It is the densest part of the soil. It'll have settled right on top just below the vegetation. To help you see the different layers of soil more clearly, we've taken our labeling tape and put lines to show where the silt and the sand and the clay divide. If you'd like, you can do this too. It will help with the measuring that we're about to do. Now, to discover the actual composition of each sample, you're going to need your ruler, pen and pencil, and some math skills. Look closely. Measure the total amount of dirt in each jar. For example, this one is about 2.5 centimeters. Next, look for that subtle change from one type of soil to the other. I can see the big clumps of rock and gravel at about 1.5 centimeters, so I know that's how much sand I have. Then there's that smooth, still slightly gritty soil that's actually silt, and that goes up another centimeter. Finally, I have my very thin line of clay at the top. Take the measurement of one type of soil in the jar and divide it by the total measurement of dirt in that sample. Then multiply that number by 100. That will be the percentage of that type of soil in the composition. Repeat the equation for the 2 other types of soil. Once you've discovered the composition of each of your 3 samples, you can start researching what that means for plants in your areas. Some enjoy a lot of sand, some enjoy a lot of clay. What plants will thrive in your backyard?